let's have a quick look at payment types. So this is where you can control all of the payment types. Okay, so personal account is the actual personal account that we have in the system where the earnings go. Credit card obviously is credit card. Down at the bottom you'll see money order bank draft, but you'll also see that it's not turned on for members. So basically every payment type you guys have the ability to say, okay, look, for admin purposes we need a non-real-time way to get people signed up and have them get money and they're going to pay us later or whatever. In your case probably not, but you have the ability for each payment type to be set to be used in each individual section. So if you wanted to take some bizarre payment type only for auto ship, you can set that up. So there's a lot of stuff that's available to be done. Well, so wire transfer we currently have set for incoming, which I don't think is right. So let's click edit beside wire transfer. And I'm just going to explain this sort of box here. Okay, so on top of you being able to control where each payment type will show up, you also have the ability to show which currency it can be used for. So as you guys grow, if you go outside of just US dollars, you can actually have a particular gateway set up just to deal with, Japanese yen. So in this case, this whole thing is not going to do anything because US dollars is not checked. So even though it says you can pay by wire transfer, because you haven't selected a currency to enable it for, it won't show up. Payment detail. If it is a payment type where you need to give a bit more instructions, like a wire transfer, you need to give your wire transfer coordinates. Whatever you put in this box will show up right beside the payment type at checkout. So it gives you the ability to give a little instruction. Payment charge type, usually you have our help in that. These are all just methods that our system uses based upon what kind of payment type you've asked us to set up. Service fee, let's click the detail on service fee just so we can have a look at what that does. So in the service fees, you can say, okay, depending if you had a whole bunch of currency selected, you can say, in US dollars, I want to charge $1 for any time I use this payment type for paying the member, or I want to charge $1 to anyone who uses this payment type to pay me. So unfortunately in Canada and the US, you're not allowed to surcharge Visa. In Australia, you are. So a typical Australian client is going to actually come in here and say, okay, for currency Australian dollars, I want an incoming fee percent of 1.25%, which means they're going to charge the member the cost of Visa instead of having to absorb it. Okay, so the system has this type of flexibility to have service fees for incoming, for outgoing. Well, and you have no choice because the charging of Visa is a function of Visa's agreement with you. And in North America, they still, from what I know, do not allow surcharging Visa. In fact, they'll take your merchant account away if you try to surcharge the Visa. So check with your account. If it is allowed, brilliant, because it solves a major problem of yours. Okay, so let's close that, go back, and you'll see all of the settings here. You can set a payment type to be good for outgoing, incoming, so that means paying members, receiving money from members, auto ship, orders, sign up, admin, so you can actually now say this is only good for admin money coming in, admin money going out, member coming in, member going out. So you've got this ability to configure with quite detail each payment type. If it's a payment type that isn't on the list and you need something special, then we just customize and charge you to set up your particular payment type, and it would have all of these appropriate things available to you as well. Okay, so it's very, very configurable in the payment area. So a lot of that, again, comes down to you guys thinking about exactly what you want to do and how, and then making sure you've configured the payment types in the right place once you've decided that. I think for you, mostly everything's just credit card. The only thing you need to worry about is how are you going to pay your members? By paycheck? Then you'd need to enable paycheck for paying out only. Credit card setup. Okay, so credit card setup is where you have to be real careful. This is where you can put your system in a place of getting you in trouble legally and not getting you in trouble legally, losing your credit card gateway or not losing your credit card gateway. So, third-party credit cards allowed, yes or no? You've got it to yes, that's a major problem. Third-party credit card means that I can show up as Dennis Wilson and sign up to the system as Dennis Wilson, and I can pay with Sharon Wilson's credit card. Okay, so in your case, though, again, it might be Mom or Dad's credit card, so that makes it a bit difficult. But the problem you have if you allow third-party credit cards is I take my Much Music credit card and I sign all my friends up with it because they don't have a Much Music credit card. And all of a sudden, when I don't have any money on my Much Music credit card, every one of those people goes unfinancial. So you're much better to say, look, if you don't have a credit card, you got to go find one, because it's the only way to get involved. And then duplicate credit cards, again, bad idea. If you allow duplicate credit cards in the system, you're allowing one guy to sign up a whole bunch of different people with the same credit card. So again, you end up with too much chargeback risk. You know, one guy gets daddy's credit card, and because you allowed third party, signs up 27 people with the duplicate card, daddy finds out, charges them all back. Okay, so I think for you guys it's critical that these are both set to no. Okay, test credit card. This is so you can actually test the system. If you set test credit card to yes, that means that if you put in this credit card number, it will approve the transaction as if it went to the gateway and got approval. The reason there's a yes-no on this is everybody's system goes out with the same test credit card. So unless you change that test credit card, you effectively, you know, any other clients could find your system and do a test transaction. End of the world, not the end of the world. So what we do is we put a yes-no switch on it. Now that credit card number has to be valid. So if you just put in 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, it won't work. But if you put in any of the, you know, sort of known workarounds, because credit cards have a particular check digit that tells you if they're a real credit card number or not. If you put in 424242424242, it'll work. You put in all zeros in the last digit of 5, it'll work. The point is, you can change it. Just make sure you change it to an approved thing. If you change it to your personal card number, that's fine. But remember, you'll never be able to use your card for a real transaction because it'll always be considered a test card. So the key is this. When you're testing, you come in, you set allow test card to yes. When you're done testing, set it to no. And that way no one who knew about it in the testing process can use it to perform a real transaction and confuse you. Does that make sense? Okay, so just be careful with it. It's a great feature. Currently set to yes because you're in testing. Make sure once you go live, turn it to no. Okay, last thing we'll check real quick and then I'll let you go. We've been long enough, is duplicate sign-up. Duplicate sign-ups can create a problem for you. The government doesn't like them a whole bunch because they think you're selling multiples, all that kind of stuff. So the key here is you can set the duplicate check to be as strict or easy as you want. The way it's set right now is it says don't allow any duplicates of emails. Okay, so someone could sign up with Fred Jones, and as long as the email is different, it'll keep allowing Fred Jones to sign up. Normally you'd go a little bit stickier than that, and you'd go first name, last name, email. So that means now if a guy tries to sign up with Fred Jones and the same email, so if Fred Jones with the same email tries to sign up more than once, it'll refuse him. Okay, so just an email check is a pretty strict check, right? But on the other hand, it's a strict check that's not a strict check, because it's strict in that they just need to put in a fake email address. So first name, last name is usually important because that's where the paycheck's going to go. So the usual way to check that a guy is doing something wrong is if you make it first name, last name, and zip code, then you'd allow people to sign up with a duplicate email address. Okay, so you just need to sort of think through what you think is best for your company on how you want to do it, and you can even allow duplicates. We're going to allow up to 2 guys before we refuse it, 4 guys until we refuse it. So whatever you want the duplicate check to be, you set it up and you set how many you want to allow it, and the system will automatically refuse the second transaction with the same criteria. Oh, last place, sorry, email engine. Please click email engine. Email engine controls all system emails. So one of the things you guys want to do as you're customizing the system to fit you, let's go down to System, Sign Up, Member Welcome. So right now this is our super standard, nobody gets hurt by it, does its job system email. This is the email that goes out to someone who just joined. Obviously, you guys got a lot of work to do to write all this stuff to fit your process. Does it need to be done on day one? No. For the test, it wouldn't necessarily need to be done. But again, this is where, like I said before, with the titles and ranks, sort of fitting them to something that fits your culture. Well, same as this, right? Blah, blah, blah. Whatever you're going to put in there to make everyone feel real good about this. This email also is what shows at the end of the sign-up procedure. So when you click your credit card and your credit card is processed successfully, this message shows up on that final page, as well as gets emailed to you. So you get to create a lot of corporate flavor within this section. So all of these emails can be edited and tweaked just be real careful. Anything in square brackets is a macro. If you change anything to do with that macro, it will no longer function as a macro, and you could have some unexpected results. Keep in mind that if we've taken the time to put the macros in, and you go in there and go, wow, we don't think we need that, chances are you're making a mistake. They're probably there for a reason, because this thing is supposed to give that information to those people. So just be careful when you're editing that you don't blow away any of the core information. You know, edit around it, but definitely important that you guys go through this whole email engine and just sort of have a little think and tweak stuff to make it fit your concept, especially with what you're doing. You're even more important to do this than a normal MLM would be, because you do have a very, very sort of a branding message. You have a very, you know, clubby type of an atmosphere. So the standard emails won't get you in trouble, but they certainly won't win you friends either. You know, they'll just be general blah information. This is where you do it, and then this is also, interestingly enough, the same area that you do email blasts from. So the way an email blast works is you'd come in here and you'd make the email that you want to blast out, and you'd save it. You'd then decide who you're going to save it to and blast it. And you can filter by countries, you can filter by user type, and you can filter by languages. So you can actually email blast out only the German people in German. You can email blast out everybody in Germany in English. You know, you've got a bunch of configuration settings that you can do when you go to actually do an email blast for members.